Hello everyone, hi, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another episode reaction to Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. That's right, my name is Matt. Hello, what's up? Okay, so last week on Buffy, Beer Bad, we got the Caveman Beer episode. Apparently, that is one of the worst episodes of the entire show. At least that's what people over at Patreon told me. That's actually interesting because I honestly don't give a shit about discussing that episode again, but it's interesting whenever people tell me, oh, this is a bad episode, you know? I feel like every episode of Buffy, there's always something that people can draw from that they can have an actual meaningful discussion or something to draw from it that it has some people have different levels of attachment or insight as to everything that happens in any of those episodes. And people might do the same with previous week's episode. It hasn't aired on YouTube yet, so I don't know what the reception is going to be. I haven't read any comments, but it's always fun whenever the immediate reception I get from like people over at Patreon is just like, oh, this is a bad episode. It actually kind of makes me kind of happy because I remember when I first started watching the show and my reception towards season 1 of Buffy, it wasn't negative, but it was, this is very campy. It is a little bit trashy, and I still stand by that because season 1 of Buffy is kind of like that, especially some of those earlier episodes. It's very 90s. It feels outdated. It feels straightforward. But the immediate reception I got to some of those earlier episodes came from fans who were like, "You come on, you're not even giving the show a shot," or whatever. And I feel a little bit vindicated whenever I get an episode like Be or Bad, because it's like we're like 4 seasons in, we're like halfway through the show, and we're doing shit like this still, and I feel a little bit vindicated in that because it's like, the show doesn't forget its roots. It's still camp sometimes, actually often, but some of those episodes really do feel like, and it's funny because last week's episode I actually did give it a shot, and at the end of my discussion, I was actually like, I came with this idea of, people can grab stuff from this episode if it's touching on themes that maybe resonates more with them, because they didn't with me, because I explained like I never drank alcohol in my life. I also don't really, I didn't live through that teenager experience of going out and meeting people. I also didn't deal with that whatever relationship drama was happening with Parker. Like none of that was at all relatable to me. So I never drew anything from that other than, oh fuck, here we go again. So I came on the idea of, maybe for some other people this episode works a lot better. And apparently the reception is, no, it doesn't actually. That episode sucks. It's fun whenever that is the fan response I get for some of those videos. Actually, like, no, don't worry about it. That episode was bad. It makes me feel better. It makes me reassure myself that I'm still like giving it a shot, and people are like, don't worry about it. Angel Report. Angel's episode last week was actually better. I enjoyed that Angel episode. Cordelia got a new apartment. There was a dead lady ghost psychopath in it. And then Cordelia was like, I'm a bitch, and they exorcised the grandma from it. Actually, no, they freed the ghost of the son of the grandma that she killed, and then the son fucked her up, and then Cordelia has a new roommate, which is a ghostman. One of them ghostmen, Yeah. Doyle was being chased by the demon mafia or whatever. Sure. It was just a fun episode. And like, it's one of those episodes that like really vindicates my idea of, I can't react to every episode of Angel. Like, I could, but it would delay Buffy every week. But it's one of those Angel episodes that it's like, there's really not a lot here other than, we're having fun, but the amount of work and delay that would incur in my channel is really not worth it. Even though I'm having fun with it, but like, I enjoy casually watching Angel. Actually, I enjoy casually and not making content off of Angel. I like that experience, so I'm having fun with Angel so far. That said, we're gonna get a couple of reaction episodes of Angel in like 2 or 3 weeks. Let me check my watch order. I have it right here. Apparently, I have to watch Angel 1, 9, and 10 in a row. So now I'm wondering if I should do that in like a single episode, like a single video, where I react to Angels 1-9 and 1-10 and then discuss both of them together. I'll figure that out whenever I watch the episode, because if Angel 1-9 doesn't have a lot, it is like a part 1, part 2 situation, I might just be inclined to watch both of them at once and make a singular video and then discuss the whole thing. So maybe I'll do that. I don't really know. I haven't planned ahead. I should ask people over at the Patreon. So I'll probably do that. Anyway, that was, I got sidetracked. Anyway, last week's episode kind of sucked. Let's go with this new episode. Patreon, check out the Patreon link in the description below. Pop up on screen. You can support the channel. Watch the next 2 episode reactions to Buffy and watch some Angel watch-alongs and full-length reactions if you're into that. Okay, let us begin. Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1. No, that's it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 4 episode 6. Let's go.
Give me something to work with.
Who is here? Spike. Okay.
You should know better than to tempt the fates that way. The big bad is back. This time,
is it the CIA or whatever? Yeah, the soldiers. I'm guessing that this is the episode where we're gonna finally talk about that. We're gonna figure out what their deal is. Here's my prediction, because I don't think I've ever said what my prediction for that was, other than it's like the government or whatever. But the reason why I even brought up like the fact that this is like a government agency or some shit like that is because, and this is a wild line to draw, this is a fucking long shot, but I never forgot the Invisible Girl. That at the end of the episode, they recruited her. I don't know what agency it was, but it was some kind of government agency. They recruited her as an assassin. She's gonna come back. And it might be with this plot we're doing here for season 4. That's my long shot prediction. That's me throwing shit at the wall.
It's nice to have one place that you can come back to and where everything's predictable.
Hello.
Hi.
No, I just, I thought I'd drop by.
That's the joke. Nothing is unpredictable. Giles wants to chill and hang out. I like new Giles. I like fun dad Giles. So what are we talking about?
Splendid. Well, don't look that way. I'm down with the new music.
Don't scoff, gang. I've
You're
seen
sure?
Dell's collection. He was an animal in his day.
Thank you.
Hey, what?
Is this the girl? Yeah. So the last time that this happened, like I actually rewatched the episode when I was editing it last week, and it really looked like she was like putting him in a trance or something.
Such presence for someone her age.
She's a siren or harpy, some entrancing creature.
It's the sandblaster. Gemini's to the raspberry hats.
Now you're faking.
I'm not. Tonight for sure.
I don't know about tonight. Night before the full moon.
Oh.
That's right.
The only thing I mind is being away from you for 3 nights.
Aw. That flag. Just putting that out there. Hi.
My girlfriend's coming.
There's room.
Big lunch.
I like to eat,
You guys were tight last night.
I guess. The set's starting to come together, but the amps still sound dirty to me.
Well, what are you using, a 50 or 120?
Hey!
Hey.
Hey.
What's it down?
Awkward.
You should be using a 50. And Blue Voodoo, not your
Okay.
best bet unless you dig the distort. Number 1, no, I gotta go with Hound Dog.
Me too. That's a great song.
We're actually talking amps. But it's easy to get confused the names they give them.
Oh.
You know, I gotta bail. I'll call you later.
Well, that was weird.
He thinks she's sexy.
And so Oz checks out another girl. He loves you.
I know. I know. I have wrong feelings about other guys sometimes.
You cheated on him once.
I'm sure Oz is flogging and punishing
Joke.
himself. This is sounding wrong before I even finish. A couple of days, it's gonna be like Veruca.
You think?
Absolutely.
Joke.
Oz just isn't the type to stray.
Okay, no jokes. Is that how Werewolf Alpha always look in this? Oh, he freed himself. Man, we need a better cell. That cell lasted literally just 2 pushes. Is that how Werewolf have always looked in the show? I feel like that looked different. More human-like, more like a Bigfoot, honestly. The professor lady? That's Veruca, isn't it? She's also a werewolf. Okay, wild. It's gonna be both of them like fucked up naked next to each other. Like, oh fuck. Did they werewolf fuck? Now that's something I'm wondering. That would be kind of nuts. Also, I was super right. The first thing I saw about her was that she was a werewolf. Immediately.
You don't remember.
Oh,
It's
okay,
like
she
that
remembers,
first,
but he
then
doesn't.
little bits and pieces, they'll start coming back to you. You've known since the first time you saw me. So what do you want to do?
We're just stealing clothes.
Why are we getting out of our cages?
You have a cage? Somebody has domesticated the hell out of you.
It's my choice. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Maybe you just don't want to admit what happened to you.
Girl,
Maybe you
why?
just want to pretend like you're a regular guy.
I'm only a wolf 3 nights a month.
Or you're the wolf all the time, and his human face is just your disguise.
Girl, what?
But only to each other. I know some part of you remembers that.
Oh, they fucked. They were
It
fucked.
doesn't do it again. Right here. I can help you, Oz. Soon you just start to feel sorry for everybody else. Because they don't know what it's like to be as alive as we are. As free.
Free to kill people? I won't do that. Hey, look.
You too.
I was gonna say, you have to tell him, man. Well, if he was ashamed of it, you know. But like at the same time, like cage broke. It's not your problem.
I was weird yesterday.
Again,
Like
she's
you and-
she's blaming herself for like not being cool or whatever. And they can tell that he's hiding something. He does feel like he's avoiding things.
No?
Because he is.
Just me worrying for nothing again. Busy head, always thinking.
Everything's fine.
Nope. It's weird of us to not like actually be like, dude, no, stuff happened. I need to tell you.
I didn't get any sleep, I guess. I'm really beat.
Right. I get it. It's totally okay.
Willow, you don't have to.
No, I don't have much time.
Teenage drama.
Werewolves? 2 of them?
Could be.
Have you spoken with Oz?
My next stop.
Okay.
Hey, Will. Mom let you in?
She seemed cranky.
She won't let me put a lock on my door. I suspect she's afraid I'll start having the sex.
Yeah.
It has happened before.
What if the girl wants to, and the guy doesn't? That's a bad sign, right?
Could be.
Maybe he's just
Or the
tired.
girl caught the guy in one of the 7 annual minutes. He's legitimately too preoccupied to do it.
Well,
That's a good one.
I've been noticing Oz notice someone else.
And is this chick noticing back?
Most definitely.
100%.
Well, have you asked Oz about it?
Just
Well,
stop.
I thought about it, but then I'll think I'm all jealous and worried.
Which
But
you are.
You guys should talk things out, Will. You both feel better.
Literally just talk. Every time. Improving the cage. That still looks like a very shitty cage, by the way.
But I did hear about a woman being chased by 2 wild dogs.
You have to tell her about the other.
2, really?
Come
Anything
on.
like that
I mean,
too.
he's ashamed of the fact that they fucked because they did it, so he doesn't want to say it.
You might have a roomie in there.
Tell her.
Oz, are you okay?
I'm okay. Thanks.
Oz is interesting because, like, I'm like, just say it. But he feels ashamed of the fact that he fucked another girl. But, like, you were a werewolf, man. Like, you had no control over that. But that doesn't change the fact that he feels very guilty and insecure. And he doesn't want to ruin things. So, is this actually her singing, by the way? That's a good question. And also, what Buffy said is a terrible thing, by the way. Because it's like, well, you're going to get another roommate in your cage. And it's like, well, they're just going to fuck. And it's like, that's precisely what he doesn't want. Worst case scenario, she gets werewolf pregnant. Wild. But instead about Oz being interesting, it's mostly because like he's such a quiet character. Like he doesn't say a lot. But a lot of what happens with Oz is internal.
Come here.
I'm not getting in that stupid cage with you if that's what this is all about. We belong outside.
I know people that'll be out there hunting for us.
So you're saying I should spend the whole night with alone? It's coming. Do you feel it? It's like blood boiling.
I feel it.
Did you sense me?
Come in here.
Did you?
Okay. Alright. That's weird, but we'll roll with it. Yeah. Okay. That's still wild. Like I still want to hear more from us other than like nothing at all.
Oh my god.
It wasn't.
It was, dude.
She's like me, a wolf.
Well, I knew you two had a lot in common, but... Don't touch me!
She was gonna hurt somebody. I didn't have a choice.
But you did. Your solution? Just put you two together in a room all night?
Girl's got a point.
Leave.
I'm just saying. No, you jerk. And you sat there and you told me everything was fine? And that's as bad as...
I know how it feels. I remember.
This is payback? I had this coming? I thought that was behind us. What happened with Xander, it doesn't compare. Not with what you and I had.
I don't know what Farouk and I have done. When I change, it's like I'm gone, and the wolf takes over.
When you were regular Oz, you had feelings for her, didn't you?
No, I could sense something, but
But you wanted her in an animal way? More than you wanted me?
Okay. I see what the writing team is doing. You see, the werewolf is a metaphor for urges and desires. Girl? That's the PA guy.
What's the matter? I have to find Veruca before the sun sets.
Right, it's 3 nights, isn't it?
I'll come back as soon as this is finished.
You should call Sandra to come
Just want you
and
to take
drop
it
by.
easy.
Giles, or literally anyone.
Don't hurt yourself.
Okay. I'm fine. I promise.
That's a lie. I've never seen a bigger lie in my life.
Put the blame where it belongs.
Go to us. Is Willow gonna try to fucking kill him? Well,
Where is she?
I don't know. I already checked all the usual haunts. I'm pretty sure I can follow our scent.
We'll try that then.
Buffy, you should know
shut
that.
up. Yeah.
Now might be a good time for your trademark stoicism.
Like, there's a lot to say about Oz's plan of we're gonna fuck for the greater good, right? Like, there's a lot to say about that. And I think what it comes down to is that what Willow said about, by the way, she's doing a spell, whatever. This might have a really bad ending this episode. Oz might die. There's like a fourth of the episode left.
A pile of clothing she left on the ground.
There's
That
a
could be
trap
from the
there.
other night when she turned into a werewolf.
Unless she wanted to throw you off the scent.
Yeah.
Willow.
Oh, fuck. I didn't even think about that. That's true. Oh, the fucking CIA people or whatever.
Not to love, only hate.
Okay, she couldn't do it.
Wow. To keep what's yours, sometimes you have to kill.
Is Oz gonna kill her? Buffy was stopped by the CIA people or whatever. So Oz is gonna have to come clutch. Not even Oz, Werewolf Oz. We're gonna have a werewolf fight and Willow's gonna be in the middle of it.
Can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? They just ran into each other and they were like, fuck it, and kept going.
You don't know anything about me.
I know what you love.
Don't touch her again.
Come stop me.
Hurt me. You leave her out of this.
How can I? She's the reason you're living in cages. She's blinding you. When she's gone, you'll be able to admit what you are.
You don't want to find out what I am.
You're an animal. Animals kill.
You're right. We kill.
Okay, here we go. Got around though. I think this is certainly gonna create some, some issues in the relationship here. I think today is a traumatic day for Willow here. It's a bad day. Even if the intentions were good here, I think this is, you don't resolve this with just one singular conversation, I don't think. It's gonna create a divide of sorts. It's gonna be weird.
This fellow in the woods, he was in military garb?
Oh yeah, let's
He
talk
was
about
toting
that.
some serious weaponry. I want to know what's up. The guy got in my way.
You saved Willow.
Right now, she wishes I hadn't. Giles, I've never seen her like this.
Oz did kill another person for her.
You felt that way yourself, and you got through it.
I ran away and went to hell and then got through it. I just don't know how they're gonna deal with this.
I don't either. It's gonna be difficult. Hi. Hacking?
Going.
Oh shit, he's just straight up leaving.
That's your solution?
That's my decision.
Don't I get any say in this?
No. Brooke was right about something. The wolf is inside me all the time. And I don't know where that line is anymore between me and it. And until I figure out what that means, I shouldn't be around you or anybody. I'll find someplace.
Alright, he's just gonna live as a hermit in the woods or something, I guess.
Don't you love me?
My whole life, I've never loved anything else.
Okay. Just going immediately. Couldn't even stop and talk more. Just left. Hesitation. But it's gonna turn it on again and leave. Yeah. Alright. Credits. Credits. Oz has been written out of the show, but he's been written out in such a way that he can come back anytime they want to. Okay, that episode was wild in the sense that there's a lot of different topics there's a lot of melodrama and a lot of different levels of shit that I can talk about regarding this relationship and Oz as a character specifically. So that's gonna be, I don't know if I have the time to do it right now because I can already foresee that that's gonna be a long discussion. Okay, fuck it, we're doing it live. We're just doing this. I don't know if I have the time to talk about it, but I guess I'm just gonna say fuck to any other compromise I have, and I'm just gonna talk about this episode. Okay, we're gonna talk a lot about Oz and Willow in relationships and melodrama and this is wild. This is fucking wild because okay, all right. Immediately, what I can say is that at the end of the episode, Oz has been written out of the show in such a way that he can come back anytime. Hell, he could show up in Angel again. You know, he could show up in Buffy in like 10 episodes and like next season. You know, he could just randomly drop by. I thought that maybe at the end he could get taken away by the CIA people or whatever. But he didn't. He just drove off. So he is free to reappear whenever they want to make him reappear. Okay. So, the the reason why this episode is making me my brain like short circuit is because it's very interesting how this is not this relationship and the drama that ensued with Oz here. This is not something that's super clear cut, and it's not something that is super easy to parse and to just point and be like, oh, that's good or that's bad. This is it's very murky, and the reason why is because for some reason Oz thought, you know what, I am going to fuck her for the greater good. This is the plan here. And when confronted about it, it seemed like he could feel that he actually wanted to do that. Like that wasn't just a plan to stop her. That was just a thing that he actively wanted to do. And that's kind of the theme of the episode where we go here at the end. Oz essentially says, she was right about one thing. The wolf is always in me. And it's difficult for me to discern where the line is between me and the wolf. The wolf here is not... The wolf is a metaphor. The wolf is not me transforming into a werewolf. The wolf is like... This episode has a better thematic fit to the id that we had last week with the beer episode. This episode works with that better. Because the wolf here is the... I guess animalistic urges or whatever the fuck here that they're trying to do, but it's mostly just urges that you have, something that you just do, and you can like think that that's not something you want to do. You can regret it. You can in the moment say this is not something I want to do, but then you just do it anyway, right? Entirely because you feel an urge to do it, desire to do it, and it appears that that's what Oz of fucking Veruga was, at least the second time. Arguably the first time too, but he's a werewolf. I'm not gonna count that one. But the second time, he deliberately invited her over, and knowing full well that that's what was gonna happen, and then they started making out as they transformed. And you can argue, like, you know, he's transforming, his brain is like going a little crazy, and that's the reason why he did that. No, he called her there. That was the play. That was the plan. And he can try to argue, and I'm sure that there is an argument to be made, and I'm sure that he thinks that, you know, like, okay, I invite her into the cage because what is the alternative? The alternative would be she goes out there and she just starts killing people, or the alternative would be Buffy's just gonna kill her. I mean, even that is like a murky defense, because we've seen Buffy fight werewolves before, and she never wants to kill them. Like, that was like a whole thing last time. They have a trank gun, you know, like she's gonna trank her, and of course Veruca wouldn't be cool with that. But when you're a werewolf, she wouldn't be cool with anything anyway. But what Oz is thinking is like, I don't want her to hurt anyone, and I also don't want her to get hurt. You know, like he's actually caring for her as well, which is. It's interesting because later Veruca like doesn't seem to realize that that's what he's doing, because Veruca believes that, you know, like being a werewolf is something that frees me. I enjoy being a werewolf, and I think you should embrace it too. She's someone that has completely embraced it. Oz is the guilty werewolf. He doesn't want to be a werewolf, and he hates himself for becoming a werewolf and maybe causing harm to other people. Doesn't want to do that. However, in this episode, he causes harm to other people, Willow, but it's not because he attacked Willow. It's because of an urge to fuck, I guess. But what's interesting is because, like, there's no way around it. The werewolf here is less of a supernatural thing that we have to like care about, as much as it is just a device in order to make this conversation less awkward. And the conversation is Oz fucked another girl. Like, straight up. He planned to do that, and then he did it. And in his mind, he's like arguing, I did the right thing, or I had, I performed the lesser evil, because otherwise things that could have gone incredibly horrible if I didn't do this. But I don't think I can defend that. I don't think there's anything I can say to like soften the blow of the fact that Oz just did something like that. I mean, you can just say whatever, werewolf. So his brain is a brain werewolf, and he has werewolf urges, and he doesn't think straight or whatever. So you can grab that and use that excuse as much as you want, in order to make it more comfortable for you. But the way I'm seeing it, and especially that line, let me find it. Let me go back to the episode here. That line where Willow is confronting him, like after the second night, she said something like, "But there was a part of you that still that wanted to do it, like an animal part." And Oz didn't really have a response to that. Like, essentially, he said, "Yes, you wanted her, like in an animal way, more than you wanted me." And Oz didn't really have a response to that. And it like, that's when it became very clear to me that like the werewolf here is not like, again, it's just a device in order to tell the story. And the story is the story of Oz wanted to fuck another girl. He just wanted to cheat on Willow, straight up. Like, the writer was like, Oz is gonna cheat on Willow. We're gonna have some bullshit way in order to make this like less uncomfortable, but that's what it is. That's just straight up what happened. However, what makes this interesting is how this is not super easy to parse, because at the end of the episode you can see that both of them actually really love each other, and Oz decides to just leave because he doesn't want to hurt her or anyone anymore. It's interesting because, okay, the way I'm going to proceed talking about this entire relationship, let me just say this, because maybe some people don't like the way I am interpreting this episode and what it's doing. But the remaining of my discussion regarding this relationship and the character of Oz and the relationship with Willow is going to be just straight up assuming Oz just cheated on Willow. I am not going to use the werewolf thing as not an excuse, but like, I'm just going to almost pretend it didn't happen, because functionally I don't think that it mattered. Like, functionally what the character did, the way the relationship works and what this is supposed to be in writing, the werewolf thing doesn't really matter that much. He just cheated on Willow, straight up. However, what makes it interesting, because you can just look at someone and be like, oh, he cheated on his partner, what an asshole, what a fucking douchebag. And you can just say that and just write that person off and be like, fuck them. You can just do that. But it's not that easy, because the remainder of the episode actually wanted you to understand that Oz cares. It's not that he doesn't care. He actually does care. He cares about Willow, and he does love Willow. So much so that he's willing to kill this other girl. Like, this is something interesting to understand about Oz's character. Oz is someone that doesn't want to hurt people. He doesn't want to kill people. And he is afraid of himself. Hell, a couple episodes ago, we got the fear episode. And his greatest fear was transforming and hurting people. So Oz is someone that just puts himself in a cage. He deliberately wants to restrain that part of himself and never want to hurt anyone. That's his greatest fear. He straight up decided, fuck you, I'm going to kill you because you're hurting Willow. You can't pretend that he doesn't care. You can't pretend that he doesn't love Willow. He does, which makes this difficult, because now Oz cheated on Willow just because he just felt like fucking a different girl. However, he also loves Willow and cares about Willow, so much so that he's willing to do the worst thing he could possibly do, which is just kill someone else. And he did. Let me just say that I think that this is a very interesting character move, or just move in general. It's very intriguing. I kind of like it, because you can tell that sometimes during these Buffy discussions, my brain just kind of turns off and I just start goofing off. Sometimes there's a lot of me being really intrigued and trying to parse things together. This is one of those discussions where, like, I'm shit serious, like, fully. I'm sitting here and I'm trying to choose words carefully. I'm failing. It's a very intriguing move for Oz's character and the dynamic, the relationship dynamic with Willow here, because it makes Oz someone that did a bad thing, and yet he cares and loves Willow so much. That is not something you can deny. And I guess that starts going a little bit into cheater mentality, which, like, I remember I read once, and I'm not sure how much of this is true, but I remember reading that, like, cheating doesn't actually have anything to do with the partner. It is something that's based more from a place of maybe insecurity or some kind of fear. It is a problem with yourself rather than a problem that you have with your partner that you're cheating on. So, like, I believe that Oz, and it is undeniable, right? Like, you see it in the text, you see it in the episode. If he didn't care, he wouldn't do the things that he did at the end of the episode. So he does care. He does love her. But why did he cheat? And it is literally just, he was horny, and that was that. Like, it's not just that he was horny. I mean, now I'm extrapolating. Now this is just me drawing things from, this is me assuming things. But it's like, oh, we're going to turn into werewolves or whatever. And it's like, now you're adding a level, like a layer of plausible deniability. So maybe he's thinking, like, like, this isn't super horrible. I'm doing it, but I'm not even aware that I'm doing it. But he still set up the situation that allowed for it to happen. So you can't really escape from that, Again, for the sake of the discussion, I'm still considering him just a straight up, like, this is a straight up cheat. That's what makes it so interesting. I don't know where to go with this. I mean, of course, you can maybe grab an element, and I'm mostly going to apply this to, like, Veruca, because you can grab an element of, oh, he's like me, in a world where you can't really find someone that understands your struggles. She seemed like she was drawn towards Oz for that reason. And it's funny now that while I was watching the episode, there was a moment where I was thinking, like, maybe Veruca would be a fun character that could stick around and we could learn more about her. Because I can see her as a character you can actually write more things about her. Because you can see how did she attain the worldview that she has. And something like wanting to be with Oz, she smelled him and she was like, oh, I wanted you. And it's this thing where, like, it could just be the, I don't know, an animalistic, horny werewolf urge to fuck the nearest werewolf. But the way I see it is, it could be something more like, this goes against the theme of the episode, I guess. But I would have liked to explore a little bit of Veruca in the sense that maybe she was like, like, I want someone that could understand what being me is like. And now I ran into someone that does. It's this guy. So like he could understand me fully. And then I guess this actually does work for the character because Veruca tries to convince Oz to see the world the way she sees it, trying to find someone that she could feel like they both share a world together. You know, someone that could share the feelings and understand what she feels. So that's why she seeks Oz. And then when they start hanging out together, well, they don't hang out, but when they start talking, interacting with one another, she tries to get Oz to see the world the way she sees it. Which is, you know, she explains her mentality of, you know, we're free, we can do whatever we want. I pity people that are not werewolves, you know. I mean, you can argue that that's like a coping mechanism that maybe she developed, you know. She's a werewolf and she developed that coping mechanism. She went the opposite direction of Oz because Oz went the I feel guilty and I don't want to hurt people direction. And Veruca maybe went the opposite direction, which is more like the faith direction, which is fuck those people, whatever, who gives a shit, you know, I'm awesome. And that's still coping. You can say that maybe she did that. And now she's trying to seek companionship and someone that might understand that. And when Oz doesn't, she tries to get him to get it as well, so she can still have someone that understands it. So she's trying to make him see the world the way she sees it. Okay, I think that's interesting. It is a little bit disappointed that we didn't explore that, but I also think that exploring that would have maybe been impossible. Just because of the sheer runtime of the episode. I think that the episode that's the wrong word. Spend the right amount of time in the right things, because the thing about the episode at the end of the day is not about Veruca. The episode is about Oz and his relationship with Willow and how they feel. So I think that the episode dedicated the exact amount of time it needed to that. So I think that if they had wanted to develop Veruca a little bit more, it wouldn't have worked. Straight up, it would have made the episode worse. The only thing you can salvage this is by making the episode a two-parter. And honestly, would be down for that, but I don't know. Like that's just me. It is difficult to stretch a single episode into 2 episodes. So yeah, no, maybe that just wouldn't have worked. But I think Veruca's a character that could have been a lot more interesting that she was in text. But whatever, I made my own headcanon. I like it. It's interesting because I thought that this discussion would be incredibly long, and it still might be. But I'm looking at the clock and it's like 22 minutes. It's just like 20 minutes. And I feel like I'm already out of things to say. But it's because I'm so... Usually in discussions, I feel like I'm really scattered. I don't know what to say. This was so laser focused in the one thing. Because this episode is so specific. I mean, I talk a lot about Oz because this is an Oz episode, mostly. We can talk about Willow. What do I say about Willow? Because Willow was very much a victim this episode. And like, she feels like, oh my god, he likes another girl, and then she feels like maybe I'm overthinking it. She feels like I acted wrong, I was in the wrong, I'm trying to make up for it. I think the scene that again jumps out to me the most, again, is the same scene I talked about earlier, which is after the second night when Willow encounters Oz and Veruca in the cage. They have this talk, and I like Willow is right in confronting Oz here, because Willow was like, I asked you if there was something wrong and you didn't say. And like Oz also pulls out, he didn't mean it in a bad way, but he pulled out the fact that Willow cheated on him as well. That is so interesting to me, comparing both things one next to the other. Like now that I'm thinking about it more, because like Willow cheating on Oz with Xander, This is why I don't like that. I don't remember what that episode was. Was it Lover's Walk with Spike? This is why I don't like the ending to that episode. This is why the episode, because when Cordelia gets like impaled and they're like, oh my god, she's dead. And then it's like, psych, she's not dead. That was a joke. That's why I don't like it. Because if you don't go for the easy joke, if you actually stick to what you're doing, if you keep writing character drama and you give it the amount of importance that it deserves, you can actually have good character drama. Because like, I cannot compare this thing with Oz with the last time when Willow cheated with Xander. This is like night and day, because that was like a joke. The way I see that happening, the whole situation with Willow and Xander, I said this before doing like my season 3 review. That feels to me like that was like filler. Like that was they are trying to fill in airtime, and they don't have these characters doing anything that matters. So they're like, fuck it. They're just gonna start fucking each other, and there's gonna be like a whole melodrama, like love, not a triangle, like a square. Yeah, a love square. And they're all just gonna start fighting each other. And then Cordelia's just gonna hate them. And then we're gonna write Cordelia falling for some guy that we're gonna see for a little bit, and then he's just gonna disappear forever. Like, that felt to me like they're just trying to fill in airtime. Like, we need to fill in 40 minutes every week, whatever. We're just gonna write this for 7 minutes this week, and then we're gonna do this thing next week and whatever. This actually feels like this is important. Like, this is a thing. The time when Willow cheated feels like that was just a joke. This feels real. And this is why I don't like the ending to that episode. When Willow cheated on Xander and then they get found out, and then Cordelia gets impaled, and it's like, it's a joke. Aha. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's why that sucks. Because you can draw a direct comparison to this episode, and this episode is actually really good. It's really good for this character melodrama. I didn't even think about that. Even though they directly referenced this episode, this is such a much better told version of that same drama. Really, it's the same drama. It's like, you cheated on me. That's it. But like before, it was straight up a joke, and then they had one talk, one conversation, and it wasn't even the focus of the episode. And then also was like, we're cool, and then that was that. And then Cordelia just kind of left, and then that was it. But this feels so much heavier, so much more important, because it is. Like, it should be. Like, it feels like the show itself just changed genres. It felt like we were doing action-adventure last time when this happened with Willow, because we were focused, like, we're doing a comedy. Like, we were following Buffy and Angel and Spike was funny, just dwelling on God, what was her name? Drusilla. Like, that was funny, and that was like the focus of the episode. And then also the cheating subplot came together, and it's like, whatever. No, this episode was really focused on what he wanted to do and what he wanted to say, and that's what he did. I mean, not what he wanted to say, because the episode doesn't really say much, and that's what's interesting about this. Because, you know, sometimes in a story you feel like the story's telling you, you know, like, you should like this character, you should dislike this character, or like it's trying to make you feel a specific thing, because it's trying to tell you a specific thing. This feels more real. This, like, the whole situation with Oz feels way more real, because it feels like it's not simple. Because you can't say that he doesn't care. He does. You can't say that he hates Willow or he doesn't love Willow. He does. Simultaneously, he cheated on her, straight up. Like, there's no denying that. And that's what makes it so complicated. and that's the way life works. That's the way real life works. Like, situations like that happen, and you don't really get a happy ending out of it. You don't even get a bad ending out of it. Like, there's no easy, clear solution. It just happens, and now we just kind of have to roll with that. And the solution at the end is that there's no solution, and Oz is just gonna leave, and Willow is just gonna be left in shambles. We're just gonna have to deal with that next week and for the foreseeable future. I liked this episode. Let me say that I liked it, because sometimes I feel like, oh my god, there's a very clear example. There was a scene in this episode. I think it was Buffy talking to Willow when they were sitting at the cafe or whatever, when they were supposed to have lunch with Oz, and then Oz left, and then Veruga left, and then Buffy came in. I remember they were talking, and Buffy was saying, like, he's not gonna do X, and then I'm like, joke, because I'm expecting the scene to cut away into the punchline, which is what they do every episode. So, like, to the point that every time it happens, like, if you go watch my other reactions, every time it happens, I call it out, and then it happens 2 seconds later, because I can see it in the subtitle, and I'm like, that's where the joke comes in, and then it does. It didn't happen this episode. I kept calling it out, and it didn't happen. That's how I should have realized immediately that this episode is actually a serious episode. This episode is actually taking itself very seriously, but, like, this is where I'm going. The show doesn't always do that, or historically hasn't always do that. Maybe we'll do it in the future, but historically, it generally doesn't do that. Historically, the show tries to have it both ways. Historically, the show tries to have funsies, have some jokes, and also try to tell something that's more serious and dramatic. And it oftentimes comes across as jarring, and it can be something that takes away from the more serious thing that you're trying to do. Because, like, simultaneously, not just because the vibes are broken, but also because I feel, again, I'm always going to bring this example up because I think this is the worst thing the show has ever done. And it's when Cordelia, quote unquote, dies and then she doesn't. And that's like a joke. And I can tell, like, I know that people like seeing reactions to that because people like to see the psych, you know, it's a joke and it's like, haha, we want to see your reaction. But, like, I straight up think that that's like me losing trust in the writing for the show. Straight up. Because I feel like the show is not respecting my investment in it. So if the show doesn't care, then why should I care? This is an episode that's respected my investment in it. This is an episode that made me feel like, oh shit, this is real. And it was. And I'm like, okay, shit, like now I have all these feelings and I don't know where to place them. I don't know what to do with them. I'm just left sitting here and I'm like, damn, that was strong. And I don't know what to do with that. So I like this episode. I do. And I think this episode is incredible because it actually realizes what it's trying to do and it just goes for it. It doesn't try to have jokes. It doesn't try to do silly punchlines. It doesn't try to have it both ways. It is not jarring and it is not clear cut. There's no clear cut solution. There's no good and evil. It's just fuck. It's just fuck. That's it. It just fuck. That's the title of this episode. It's just fuck, man. And then it ends. And now I'm sitting here. And I don't know where to place these feelings about Oz and Willow. I wonder how people feel about this episode. This is an episode, like, there are some episodes where I feel like I want to know how people feel. You know, usually the bad episodes. Usually I want to know how people feel about the bad episodes. Because sometimes I like them. And I want to hear if other people like them. Or if I'm just being crazy. This is an episode that I think is really good. And I want to hear if people feel the same way. Because I keep comparing this to Lover's Walk. And I'm just like, God, that episode really missed the mark with the things that it was trying to do. That whole plot line was wasted. It was bad. And this feels like it's really good. And like, I don't know where this is going to go. And I don't know if it will go anywhere. Because this, like, we don't have a plotline developing through several episodes about, you know, us cheating. Even though we've seen her before last week and then a couple weeks ago. But those were very minor scenes. This episode had the whole drama happening with Veruca. But Oz is gone now. So there's not going to be some kind of resolution other than Willow State. So I don't know where Willow State is going to land her in the nearby future and in the greater story for the season. And the greater story for the season is like, I don't know, the CIA people are showing up and taking supernatural creatures or something. That's gonna come back and matter. I'm calling them the CIA people because I don't know what to call them. The army men, the FBI. It's just I'm thinking some government agency, and I mentioned it this episode because I always forget to mention it, but I thought it from the moment they showed up in the first episode. I think they're probably going to be related to the agents that took the invisible girl in season 1. Because when I saw them, that's immediately what I thought about. And I don't think I mentioned it. Maybe I did, but I don't think I did. So let me just mention it right now, before it is revealed. And I also did get a comment from someone. I could check, but I don't want to check because it's better if I don't. But I got a comment from someone, and I think it was in the first episode of season 1. Sorry, the first episode of season 4. And I think they said something like, oh my god, you figured it all out in the first episode, or something like that. That could have been because I actually didn't check very well. It's just like I opened my notifications and then I just read really quickly and then I just closed it. So maybe it was a comment on a different video. But if it was a comment on Buffy 4-1, and maybe it was about the army men, then maybe I'm correct in assuming that that's like the U.S. military or something, like some kind of government agency. And if that's the case, I am straight up drawing the lines to the Invisible Girl. So that's what I can say about that. Anyway, this is the episode where the CIA people are coming into play. Buffy's talking about them with Giles, and they are aware now, but they don't matter. That's not the point of this episode, man. This episode was heavily about Oz and Willow and Veruca here, and animal instinct. That's like really the theme of the episode that they're trying to do here, like some kind of animal instinct. But again, the werewolf here is metaphorical. Really what this episode is about is you cheating on your partner, and then what do you do with that if you still care about your partner? And what does your partner do with that? Because they care about each other, and they can both feel that they care about each other, they love each other, but we can't ignore what happened. So it's a really murky situation. I like it. When I say that, let me clarify. I don't like it in the sense that I want to see this character suffer, but I do like it from a writing standpoint, because I think that makes, I think the worst thing you could do is to make something that would be easy for you to figure out what your feelings on it are, you know, like, oh, you were in the wrong or you were in the right, like I hate you or I like you, that sort of thing. This is weird because Oz is a character I generally like. He makes a mistake and it's bad, and Will feels like shit and you feel really bad for her. But then Oz, you can not only see that he really cares and he loves her, but he gets to prove it by doing the thing that he never wants to do, which is willingly turn into a werewolf and willingly kill someone. That's straight up the thing that he never wants to do. That's his major fear. And he still decides to go for it entirely because he wants to protect Willow. That makes this whole situation really difficult to parse, because now you don't know what to do with those feelings regarding Oz. So that's where I'm at now. And I like that. I like being thrown out for a loop. I like not knowing. I like being confused. So I like this. I like what we're doing with this episode. I really like this episode. I don't know how much of it, like, I don't know what the follow for this episode is going to be, how much it's going to matter down the line. I'm guessing most of what's going to matter is, you know, Willow stuff. So I'm curious as to how Willow is going to be for the next, the remaining of the season. I wonder what she's going to be like, how she's going to feel like. I feel like next episode is going to be a very crucial episode for Willow. So I'm mostly interested in seeing how that's going to go. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. I don't know what else I can talk about. I barely looked at the episode. I usually skim through the episodes to get things to talk about. But I feel like this episode is just so laser focused on what it's doing that, like, there's barely anything to say. I mean, there's a lot to say, but not beyond what I already talked about, which is just character Oz relationship. I think that's going to be it for this episode. That episode was wild. Pun intended. It's wild. It's a wild episode. Last week's episode was also wild. I called it wild, but it was a different wild. It was a goofy wild. This is a shit serious wild, and I like it. I hope the show has more of these kinds of episodes. Some episodes are more on the goofy side and try to have it both ways, try to have a little bit of fun while simultaneously trying to tell a serious story, and it falls flat on its face. I want the show to just be sincere and genuine and tell the serious story and go for it, not try to make some gags, just go for it. And maybe you'll get an episode like this one, and it's gonna be a good one. I like it. I don't know how people feel in this episode, but I really liked it. Because I feel like maybe some people might see Oz cheating on Willow and just go like, oh, I don't like that, you know? Like it makes you feel bad. And it's like, yes, it does. And that's why I think it's good, because it's effective. And then it becomes really confusing. But I can see that maybe some more, I don't know, basic view of this episode might just make you feel bad. and then you don't want to think about it. But I like thinking about these things. I like feeling conflicted. It's good. I like when media can bring in strong emotions, even if they're not. They don't have to be incredibly good. They don't have to be incredibly bad. It's just like all sorts of strong emotions. I feel very happy whenever that happens. I like this episode. This is like the most grounded discussion I've ever had on this fucking channel, I think. Like, I feel like oftentimes when I have a discussion, like, I feel like every time I have a discussion for any episode of any show, I feel like I'm kind of shitposting while talking and also just being scattered and jumping from one topic to another. This was incredibly grounded. And I think that speaks volumes as to how I felt about it and how much I'm thinking about it. So that's fun. I like this episode. Okay, I'm just gonna shut up now. I'm not saying anything new. I'm just gonna go now. Hi, what's up? So I wanted to add an extra thing that I didn't talk about during this discussion, but I thought about while I was editing the episode, which is essentially an entirely different angle for Oz's thing, because the way I felt at the end of the episode was positive, and I was thinking about, okay, I can see a way in which you could leave the episode in a more negative manner, beyond just like, oh, I didn't like that this character did this because it made me feel bad, you know? Because that's something that I can easily imagine, and that's valid. But I also thought about something that you can exit the episode and have in your mind and have that be something that completely ruins the episode for you, is thinking that Oz is not the kind of character that would do something like this. You know, like Oz is not the kind of person that would cheat on Willow. And like when I started the episode, and even as I was watching the episode, I was thinking like, yeah, no, I trust him. He wouldn't do this. And then he ends up doing it. And the thing is that it feels like character assassination and stuff. And if you think that that's the case, then that's completely fair. Because the only explanation that the show gives you as to why did Oz do something like this is because of werewolf shit. You know, it's just like, oh, it's the werewolf. You know, the werewolf came out and it made him horny, I guess. You know, like, and like, sure, you know, like that's an explanation the show gives you, and like whether or not you take that explanation at face value and roll with it is up to you. And like, I am someone who like, it's been 0 days since I mentioned JoJo, but my favorite show of all time is JoJo, and in that show manga, nothing makes sense, and the show just tells you something and you just kind of have to take its word for it, because it depends on you suspending your disbelief in order to accept the story it wants to tell. And that is my approach when I watch media, honestly. Like, in general, whenever I consume media, that's my mentality. It's like, okay, let's listen to what you have to say, and then you can give me an explanation, and it might just be bullshit, and I might point out that it's bullshit, but I can roll with it, because this entire episode is an example of an episode that hinges on the idea that you take the show's word for it when it says, oh yeah, it's the werewolf shit. That's the only reason why Oz cheated on Willow. And whether or not you're cool with that, I think that's just up to you. Because I can imagine someone might just look at that and be like, oh, that's stupid. I don't like this. I don't trust this because this is a stupid reason. And that's fair, honestly. But I am someone who, I am used to stupid reasons, and I can just roll with them as long as like, you want me to get invested into everything else that you're about to tell me. And that's what this episode is doing. It's giving me a stupid reason, which is werewolf stuff, for Oz cheating on Willow, and then is trying to tell that really serious story about cheating, and about urges or whatever with Oz and Willow. And I'm like, okay, fine, you know, because this is actually trying to take a story seriously, trying to take this relationship with this character seriously. And the reason as to why Oz would do something like that is kind of hand-waved. It's like, don't worry about it, it's the werewolf stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'll take it, because if I didn't take it, if I rejected the notion that Oz would ever do something like that, then this entire episode just doesn't work. Then we don't have an episode. We don't have drama. We don't have anything for these characters. I just have to completely ignore it if I just reject the notion from the get-go. So instead, I accept it, and I'm like, okay, this is the reason. I think it's a shitty reason, but I can roll with it. But I can see some people maybe not being able to do that. And I think that's fine, because I think this is one of those things where, like, I think it really does a disservice to Oz's character. Sorry if you can hear noise in the background, by the way, my window is open. But like, I think it really does a disservice to Oz's character. And it does feel like they're just murdering my boy. They're just essentially doing my boy dirty, because I never got the impression that ever Oz would do something like this. And even rewatching the episode, because I had to while editing, I was like, I don't think he would ever do something like this. And the only reason why he did is because of the werewolf stuff. And the reason why that is a shitty reason is because, like, that's just completely out of nowhere. And it kind of, like, it's a shitty reason because you can say, oh, that makes no sense. And then the writer can look at you and it's like, well, have you ever been a werewolf? How do you know if it makes sense or not? And it's like, this is fiction. Like, you're just making it up in order to tell the cheating story. And we're just gonna roll with that, you know? And whether or not you are able to roll with that, or you can look at it and judge it and be like, oh, this is shit storytelling, I don't like it, and completely reject the notion altogether, I think that's fine. I think you can do that if you really wanted to. But I am personally the kind of person that I can look at that and be like, fine, whatever, I'll take it. Because I actually do care about the story that they're telling. Now, the entire story hinges on a very flimsy base, but it's fine. For me, at least, it's fine. But I just wanted to address this because I can imagine that maybe some people would just straight up not like this on that basis. And I think that's fine, but I'm cool with it. So I think this is just a personal thing. So yeah, that's the only thing I want to do after this episode, because I thought about it and I was like, oh, I didn't even talk about this at all, because it didn't occur to me that this is an approach that you could take when analyzing this episode. But I think ultimately the way you feel about it is like, it's subjective. Like, it's how much tolerance you have for some specific things that they're doing here. But yeah, anyway, that's gonna be it. Let me edit this audio really quickly, and then I'll render the episode and I'll upload it, because this is right here at the end. Okay, see you guys later. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. See you guys next week. And alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode to Buffy. If you would like to watch the next 2 episode reactions, full-length reactions, and some Angel watch-alongs, you can do so over at the Patreon. Check out the link in the description below. Social media, so the cool stuff that I do. See you guys next time. Take care everybody. Bye-bye.